Welcome back to the Astrocast. I'm your host, Drew. Today is Thursday, February 5th, 2026. The full moon is starting to fade. It was a beautiful one. The snow moon was an actual snow moon in Charlotte this year, so haven't talked to you guys in a week, but we ended up getting a historical amount of snow in Charlotte over the weekend. So it started on Saturday morning about 7 a.m. and it kept going until midnight, and at some points it was just pouring down snow outside, which is very uncommon in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. Anyway, we're towards South Carolina. We're on the southern part of the state. Those folks up in Raleigh get snow every year. But we haven't seen snow like that in 20 years, and ended up being the third highest total in the last 100 years, or I think all time since they started recording weather in Charlotte. Third highest total from what I read. So definitely a cool environment to spend a few days in, but definitely not clear skies either. So happy to get some clear skies back. But with all that being said, I have a very, very special guest with us here today. So I've been talking about this particular man for a couple of weeks now on the show and the Discord, if you remember. And I'm happy to have Nathan from Astropeak Observatories joining us today. How are you doing today, Nate?
Good, Rue. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Thanks, man. And truth be told, this is the second time I'm talking to Nate. So if any of it sounds a little bit weird, it's because we actually had this conversation 2 nights ago, and unfortunately, I had some audio issues, and basically all of the audio was completely unrecoverable. So we're getting to talk again, aren't we, Nate?
Hey, we're just going to get deeper into it, which is going to be fun.
Exactly. So thanks so much for coming on the show, man. So why don't you, before we get too deep, why don't you tell us what the observatory is all about?
Yeah. So we're building an observatory, a remote observatory down in southwest Utah. We're about an hour and 15 minutes north of St. George. And so kind of on the southern end of the Great Basin dark skies. So Great Basin National Park is a really popular place to go see dark skies. There's quite a few star parties out there, and we're just kind of at the southern tip of where those dark skies start.
Oh man, that's a really good location to be, right there by a national park too. That's got to be awesome. Do you ever stop by the national? I mean, you must, right? You've lived in Utah for a long time, right?
Yeah, I've lived in Utah my whole life, and that entire region, all of southern Utah, is just one of the most magnificent dark sky locations. It's high elevation, very low humidity, and then just not a lot of artificial light, and so it's a really fun place to observe the night sky
Oh
from.
man, I bet. So many of us who've lived most of our lives on the East Coast, myself included, um, don't really know what those high elevation Western and Midwestern skies actually look like. And they really are night and day. Have you ever seen let me ask you this. Have you ever been to a so-called dark sky site on the East Coast? Or have you been lucky enough to only see the dark skies out west?
I have. I've been to a couple on the East Coast, and I need to I need to say this politely without offending anybody. But there's no such thing as dark skies east of the Mississippi.
Okay.
It's very
You
different.
know, I kind of thought you might say that. And from what I've been told, it wouldn't surprise me too much, because it really is night and day, particularly with like how good the seeing can get and just the elevation. I mean, the elevation alone, up here, 2,000 feet is very, very high in the Appalachian Mountains, but where you're located, and specifically where Astro Peak's going to be, what's your elevation?
We're right about 5,500 feet. So, ironically, that's actually quite low for the area. But um, one thing that was really important to us is the seeing conditions. We actually tested quite a few sites in southern Utah over the last couple months, and Some people may remember, who were really early adopters of Astropeak, may remember a site that we spoke about that was about 7,100 7,100 feet elevation, and we really liked that site. It was really dark and really high, but when we ran a lot of our seeing reports, it just wasn't good. Sometimes
Ah,
out here at West, when you get some of these high elevation sites and you're near mountains, especially, the air can get kind of turbulent, and so we found this spot over in the southwest part of the state that was, like I said, it's about 5,500 feet, but man, the seeing is just incredible. Um, on calm nights, on calm clear nights, we're seeing well below sub arc second. You know, point
oh,
0.8, point 0.7, just incredible. And so we kind of, once you add it all up together, you know, you work on, okay, how dark is the sky? Okay, how good is the seeing? We really felt like this location in Southwest Utah was just going to be perfect for what we were trying to accomplish.
I mean, that certainly sounds right. I've actually heard Rick and Jeff talk about sub arc second seeing, because they've actually they I think Rick, one of the two of them, owns a place out in New Mexico. And they get to frequent some dark sky sites out west, and they had told me about a place that they visited that was indeed sub arc second seeing, which means that you can resolve things smaller than 1 arc second, and therefore your guiding can be just as good, if I remember correctly. Is that how you would define that?
Yeah, your guiding calms down a ton, especially with a lot of the harmonic mounts.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, things slow down, and guiding becomes a lot easier. And yeah, you can resolve, especially when you get to some of these high focal length scopes. You know, some of your SCTs can do really, really well when you're sub arc second, and with resolving details that you normally wouldn't get when you're in a city.
So even like doing like planetary work then would be incredible compared to like a dark sky location without great seeing then.
Yeah, planetary would just be phenomenal. It's really good coming up into Milky Way season. A
Oh,
lot of Milky Way photography is done, you know, with an SCT or an RC scope, and really popular right now to pair it with the 585 sensor that's got those really small pixels. And so when you're in
yes.
the city, the small pixels don't help you out very much when you're, you know, 2 or 3 arc second, which is pretty normal actually. You know, where I live in southern Utah, or in central Utah right now, and we have really dark skies where I live, but I got two mountain ranges to the east and the west of me, and so getting seeing below 2 arc seconds is pretty difficult to do.
Really? Even though you're in an area that's really dark, it's that much of a difference to where you're seeing 2 and 3 arc second seeing?
Yeah, I mean, it's dark here, and you know, I'm high. My house sits about 6,500 feet elevation,
Wow.
but the mountains just mess things up when the wind comes off of them, or especially at night when it cools down and the cold air sinks. You get cold air that sits on top of those mountains that kind of floods its way down into the valley, and it just makes the air really turbulent. And so, it's hard to get below
Oh.
2 arc seconds where I'm at. So seeing is hard. It's a really difficult one to do, and you have to do some pretty intense tests for it. But
Okay, I have
once
to
you find it,
know,
it's great.
like,
You know.
how do you do testing? Do you literally just image and see if you can get under 1 arc second and then see if you can do that consistently over X amount of time compared to the other place? Is that how you're doing it, or?
Yeah, there's a device that you can purchase. It's called an SBS seeing monitor,
Okay.
and it uses. I'm trying to remember exactly what sensor it uses. It uses a QHY sensor with 100 millimeter focal length scope,
Okay.
and the company that makes the scope has written a software that does it, and so
And it
we
can
used one
determine
of
it for
those.
you.
Actually,
That's awesome.
yep, yeah, I had a friend. They're pretty expensive, and
I
the
bet.
observatory will have one when we open up. But I had a partner who had one, and so he set it up at our location and checked for us over a new moon cycle. And we were, you know, when it hits 11, 12, you know, 12 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, that's when the seeing really just turns phenomenal where we're at, and that's where we were seeing, you know, point 0.8 arc seconds. So it was just great.
That's awesome, man. And so I guess like if you have one on site too, you'll be able to update seeing conditions on a nightly basis and kind of let people know when the best nights are for imaging, even though like I would imagine any clear night out there is going to be pretty darn good compared to my side yard here in Portal 7/8 Charlotte. But if you were somebody who was very particular and you wanted to be, sure that you're getting the best possible seeing on any given night from a true dark sky location, you can do that.
Yeah, we will. We're building a software. We call it the Mission Control Hub, and it's a place where
Okay.
people who reserved a pier, where users who have reserved a pier can go in and manage their pier. And one of the features inside of that will have a link to our seeing monitor, so you'll be able to check seeing conditions at any time at the site.
That sounds fantastic. So let me back up a little bit though. So what exactly what was it that inspired you to do this? Because like I think anybody who has been into this hobby for, a few years, it's crossed their mind at some point like, man, how cool would it be to go buy a chunk of land out west and open up a remote observatory and tell them all to go to hell and just live in an RV, yada yada yada. But you're a bit unique because you actually live not too terribly far from a great location for it. But like, what led you down that path?
Yeah, no, I've been really fortunate. And even I mean, the worst place that I've lived is about a Bortle 4 sky, and
Wow,
that was great. But right now we're in a Bortle 3 zone, and you know I've been a member of the Astrocast for a little, I think, over 2 years now.
you're one of the originals.
And yeah, I've been able to connect with some of the greatest people on earth. And as progressing through this hobby, I started to realize, one, how fortunate I was,
Yep.
and I have a great deal of gratitude for that living out west. But two, realizing, man, I really want to share this with my friends.
Yes.
We get on the Discord chat on the Astrocat Discord, and we're talking and having fun, and everyone's hanging out, and I'm just like, man, I really wish that I could have a place for my friends to all get together and throw up a scope, and we could all image and work on projects together. And so I've been mulling it over for the last year or so, and finally, after talking to a couple different people, I was able to put some of the pieces together. I couldn't have done it on my own. I don't have all the pieces to do it, but I've been able to bring on a partner for it that possesses a lot of the skills that I don't have, and the two of us together are able to make it work.
That's awesome, man. No one can do it all themselves, especially in this hobby. So I think having the right partner is absolutely key because you can complement each other and each of you can be good at particular things and just it's good to have somebody to bounce stuff off of, especially when you're talking about something as big as this, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I have a pretty extensive background in astrophotography, and I'm a contractor by trade. And
Okay.
Mike, my partner, is a software. He's a software engineer, and he's a network engineer. He's been doing software and network stuff forever, and that's where I'm not good at. I know,
Gotcha.
uh, I've got limited knowledge there, but Mike is incredible. He's the one who's developing the mission control software. He's been working building the networks and connecting the VPNs and
That's
um,
awesome.
building our power
That's
cycle station. He's been putting all that fun stuff together, and so we make a good team together. We both are two halves of the puzzle.
that's awesome, man. It sounds like you can be the guy who's the kind of on-site guy. You could probably, being a contractor, I'm sure like you can do building repairs and things of that nature. And then he can handle the networking side, software, etc. And you really do need both halves of that for a venture like this because I've thought about it and there there is a lot of work that goes in to opening up a remote observatory. And what really kind of surprised me is that you guys are able to do it at the prices that you've been able to do because for what is it that you're charging for like a C star?
Our C stars are $75 right now for founding members. Once those fill, the C star will go to $100 a month, but we've got a little discount right now for founding members. But our most popular pier is actually our small pier, and it's $149 a month, and so that's got a 32 or 37. Oh, I don't have it on me. I think it's 36-inch radius, and so perfect for
I
small
think he said it was
APOs.
36. Yeah, it'll fit your red cats and my SQA 55
Yeah,
and all those kind of scopes, right?
yeah.
So I actually looked the other day, because when we first talked, I remember specifically saying that there were 7 left, and now I looked and there's 4 left. So if you're hearing this and you do want to be one of the founding members, you can absolutely do that still. And I've got a partnership set up with Astropeak. So if you want to join the Patreon for the Astrocast, obviously you'll be able to talk with Nathan and me in the Discord. And besides us, we have, like, dozens of other people in there who are, well, way smarter than I am. I'll just put it that way to be polite. But we've got a lot of experts and just a lot of awesome people, really, a really cool crowd to talk with. And we do some pretty cool stuff together. We've gotten up a few times. I know you've met with Eric, one of our long-term members. And then obviously I did the first light thing back in August, and we've got more planned in the future. So if you want to join up, you can go to patreon.com/the Astrocast, and you'll actually get a discount code that you can use for your peer, and it will essentially pay for your Discord membership. So you're getting it at a discounted rate, getting access to the entire Astrocast community, and then getting obviously access to sub-arc second Bortle 1 skies, which is really hard to beat. It's still blowing my mind that you live at a higher elevation in a Bortle 1, but by going down 1,000 feet from where you are, you were able to get that much better seeing conditions. That's crazy. That really does show you that the environment makes all the difference, right?
Yeah, the topography of the land can make a huge difference in seeing conditions. That's crazy.
How long did it take you guys to find the final spot? I would imagine you looked at quite a few places, right?
Yeah, it took us a couple months. You only have about 15 days or so, even less than that. You have about 10 days each month where you can actually test sky quality, check
Yeah.
how dark the sky is, and check seeing conditions and do things like that. So it was a lot, man. We were driving. My wife was probably so frustrated because I would spend all day Friday, all day Saturday driving and camping out and testing things with Mike and I were homeless for a while as we drove around the state trying to figure this
Yeah.
out.
It's funny. I think I've got a big drive in front of me because you're planning to if everything goes as planned, and obviously something could come up that delays it a little bit, but all things being equal, if everything goes perfectly, or when are you hoping to open up?
Yeah, we're hoping to open up this spring. We're shooting for probably a May opening, and everything's going good so far. We're, knock on wood, things are progressing. I've been working this week. I've been heavily working with an engineer out of Ohio that's helping us put together the track system. The track system is quite complicated
I
on a
can
big observatory.
imagine.
It's a little bit different from like a backyard observatory, and so it's been
Yeah, because
quite
it's
a
so much
chore to
bigger,
get.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's bigger, and there's a lot more safety features when you're doing an observatory in your backyard. You can usually just put a small wheel on a small caster wheel on a V groove, and some locks on the end,
Yeah.
and run with it, and it works great for backyard applications. But we're talking about a 25 by 40-foot building that has to roll 100 feet and come back every night. The engineering's quite
Wow.
complex. I didn't expect it would be this hard. There's not a lot of engineers that have that type of building sitting in their portfolio. So
That makes sense.
that's what we've been working on the last week, and we made some huge headwinds today. I think we've got that all but finalized at this point. So it's been great. Yeah. So
That's
we're shooting
awesome.
for a late spring opening.
That's so cool, man. You make it just in time for Milky Way season before it really starts settling in. I know you could get like Roe early in April, but like, the Milky Way is not really coming out till late May. You know what I mean? You can get it straight up and down the meridian if you get started in June. So that's perfect timing.
Yeah, that's the goal. I told Mike we've got to be open by Milky Way season. We can't let that
Ugh.
slip by.
That gives me time too, because I was talking to um another member of the Patreon and we were talking about getting our scopes set up in time. And since we have these few months, I actually was thinking about it, and I was like, well, I actually need a couple of things that I don't have right now on my rig, because I don't really need them because I am physically here. I can change out the filters. Even though I plan on still shooting one shot color out there, I'm sticking to my 2600 MC Pro, at least for the time being. Maybe at some point I'll go mono, but for now, I'm going to be very happy having a 2600 MC Pro on my astrograph out there. But it still would be great to have a filter wheel because, I might want to do, dual narrowband sometimes, even though I'm in Border 1 skies. Why not do narrowband? I thought I could have a dark frame on the filter wheel so I could take new darks whenever I want without having to, bug anyone. And then a UVIR cut filter would be nice for getting really good, pretty stars. So there's a few little things with that. And then the other thing that I thought about, and maybe, I want to pick your brain about this too, because I had an idea and I wanted to run it by you, but what about flats? Because I know like Deep Sky Dad is somebody who makes really great flat taking devices, for a lack of better words. They're the flip flaps. You can automate them to flip up on your scope so you can take flats whenever you want. But let me ask you this: are you gonna suggest sky flats, or like how are you thinking about flats at the observatory as things stand right now? Like, what is your plan?
Yeah. Personally, Rue, I'm a big sky flats guy. I
Okay.
I know that there's people have very strong opinions on that either way, and I really don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of the problems with sky flats comes when you don't live in a very clear area and you wake up in the morning and there's clouds, and then you're bugged because you can't take your flats, and then you're
Yep.
worried that dust is going to settle and things are going to change, and then your flats aren't going to work. But when you're in, we image a little over 70% of the nights, and so mornings are perfectly clear blue skies. You're not going to have a problem taking sky flats. But that being said, a lot of people will do flat panels from, I want to say Pegasus makes a flat panel, Wander Astro makes a flat panel.
Mm-hmm.
And so
So you don't think
those
a
are
flat
great too.
panel is like a necessary addition though, necessarily? Because like honestly, man, if you take good flats with sky flats, I'm okay with that, because I'd rather save the $200-300 that I would spend on that and put it towards something else. If sky flats are ample, especially now that I've got a 2600, because with the 294, you had to take like 2+ second flats in order for them to come out decent. And what always happened was the brightness of the sky would change too much. If I wanted to take 30 flats that were 2 seconds each, by the time it was done taking them all, the luminosity would be completely different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that the 294 sensor is a little bit. I would say that if you're sending the 294 sensor, then yeah, probably send a flat panel. But
Yeah,
the
that's fair. And that's
2600 or the
just
585,
you'll probably be fine with that. All right, cool. That's good to know. I think I'll probably just stick with the filter wheel then, if that's the case, because I'm perfectly fine taking sky flats. I mean, if it works fine, then I'm good with it. So now, what I was thinking though is like, why hasn't and I probably just answered my own question, but wouldn't it be something if a remote observatory had kind of like a flat white paint on the ceiling, and you had like flat stay like once a month on full moon, and you just like wrote down on the schedule the roof's going to be closed at this time, you can take flats between this hour and this hour of the day. Like I'm surprised no one's done that yet. Would it be hard to get an evenly lit white light source across the entire ceiling? Would that be the challenge there, do you think?
yeah, that's interesting. I've actually there's a couple remote observatories that do have flat panels. They're usually a lot smaller, and so when you're just running a row of like two telescopes and every telescope has access to a wall, then I've seen the flat panels hang from the wall, and you can just slew your scope over to the flat panel
Yeah,
hanging
yeah. I
on the
guess that
wall.
would work. I guess everybody, multiple
Yeah,
people could point at one flat panel. That's a good point. I didn't think about that if you slew over there.
yeah. I'd have to look into the ceiling one. If everyone could get a view of it correctly, I guess it could work. But I
That
haven't
would be
thought into
so
that.
cool
That
too if you
that's
had
something
like
I'd have to look into.
50 scopes all pointed at one flat panel. That would be great.
Yeah.
Oh
I will
man.
tell you, I will tell you when you're using and I should stay away from controversial statements, but
Okay, okay, let's hear it
I
though.
when, but when you're using a filter wheel, you don't need to take flats every session. You can
Oh
take
yeah.
you can take flats, and your flats will work. Your flats will work for months because your flats are really designed to take dust motes off your sensor or your filter. I think there's a common misconception that dust particles on your lens or on your objective mirrors cause issues, and they really don't. You hear people, especially that have
You're
SCTs
right.
or RCs, or or newts. Don't ever clean. Like if you were to look at my RC scope right now, the mirror looks absolutely disgusting, and it produces beautiful images.
I'm sure it
You know,
does.
it
Yep,
just
yep.
doesn't have the effect that you would think it does. And so I'm big too. And don't clean your glass, don't clean your mirrors. There's no reason to. It's not going to affect your images. So you really could take flats. You know, I mean, your entire imaging train is completely closed, and so I would take flats. I reuse a lot of the same flats and
I
don't
mean,
don't
I
have
have
issues with
too,
it.
and
So
I don't even have like a permanent. I've like honestly, like if I'm not rotating my actual glass, which was rare anyway when I was doing anyway, I've done the exact same thing, moving my scope indoors and outdoors, and never had trouble. So like if you're on a stationary setup with a filter wheel, I can't imagine having to retake them frequently. I mean, I would bet like once a month would probably be reasonable.
yeah, at least I'm sure you could go longer.
Yeah, that's fair. So, do you have any outreach plans like with the community? Are you planning on doing any kind of events where you can, get people together for star parties and the like?
Yeah, definitely. We are going to make a lot of connections. We're actually working with a couple of the local clubs right now in the area, and so we've got some things planned there. Um, I hope. I mean, it probably won't happen in the next couple months, but maybe toward the end of the year, to have a nice visual scope there, where if people wanted to come and do visual astrophotography or visual work, um, you know, I love visual astronomy, love it, and I'd
Yes.
love to be able to have pads in place where people could come and do that with us. So yeah, we've got quite a bit of outreach stuff planned. I know you guys. Actually, I know a lot. Almost, oh geez, I would say a half or so of the people who have reserved piers are making plans to come out and visit in person. And so I can imagine we're going to
Yes.
have star parties pretty frequently in the evenings.
Oh man, dude, I'll tell you right now, like I'm not like just throwing stuff out there, but like if everything works out and you know things go as planned for you, and as I'm sure they will, because it certainly seems like you're heading in the right direction. We might have to do an Astrocast meetup out there one day. That would be really cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Oh man, I get so excited because I'm thinking about late summer this year. I'm thinking about having the North American meetup. I've got like a couple of places in mind. So we'll have to talk more about that in the future, but I definitely recommend like getting good with the locals, man, especially like if there's any universities in the area, you definitely want to get in good with them, because that's, if you want to get like a big visual scope, man, uh, you get in good with, universities and, the local star clubs and what have you. And before long, somebody will donate a 24-inch Dob just to go and sit out on your pad. You know what I mean? That's how it happened at the Charlotte Club. Over time, more people joined, and people who were passionate about astronomy got involved. And then people start donating things because they want the public to be able to go out and use them.
Wouldn't a 24-inch Dob be so cool?
It really is. I found the picture of me looking through the 24-inch Dob that Gail Rigsby built. um, and I'm literally up on a staircase looking through the eyepiece, and I remember that day, it was still daylight out. We were looking at Venus, and we could see the phase, because Venus phases like the moon and Mars, and um wait, does Mars phase? I'm tripping. No, Venus phases like the moon. That's what I meant to say. um anyway, it was absolutely beautiful. 24-inch newts, man, especially with subarc second seeing. That's something you should definitely hope for. It'll happen one day. Just wish it into existence.
Every time I Rue, there's nothing I hate more than the planet Venus. And you're about to figure out how awful Venus is when you have a scope under Bortle 1 skies. That stupid planet is brighter than the moon when it's fully illuminated. It's just the worst.
it it's funny that you said that. They had to stop down the scope when we pointed it at it. They had a cardboard cutout stop down ring that they put on the front of the giant 24-inch newt because it was just so bright. Yeah, I guess so, huh? It tends to blur
Yeah,
out a
it
little
is.
bit. Um,
Oh, I learned that lesson the
Good.
hard way. About a year ago, I took a dark sky trip, actually out to the Great Basin area, and it was about oh, it's probably like early or late fall, early winter, and I was so excited because I wanted to go
Mm-hmm.
do I wanted to go do some of the dark nebula stuff in the like the Perseus Taurus region,
Uh-huh.
and got out there, got all set up, and
Yep.
rises in that area rises in the east and stuff, and Venus was right there, and I couldn't get anything. It was just washing out all of my images and stuff, and you don't
Really?
that's not a big problem when you're under Bortle 7 skies. You don't think twice about Venus, but when you get to a dark sky and you're trying to shoot some dark nebula and Venus pops up, you're just like, well, that's worthless. It ruins the whole night.
Wow. You're right. I hadn't even considered it because it's like having a little full moon there, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's awful. But
That's
no, Venus is good. I'm not going to complain about her, but she can be frustrating sometimes.
that, you know you're like getting into next level astrophotography when instead of complaining about the full moon, you're complaining about the full Venus.
I I I,
Damn
I can't
full
wait for you to see
Venus.
it. One night you're going to be imaging. You're going to be trying to image the dark nebula in that region, and you're going to call me and say, "What's going on? It's like, why are my images so washed out?" And I'm going to send you a picture of Venus sitting right there, coming over the horizon.
Oh man, I pray for the day, man. That sounds wonderful. So me
Yeah.
and Parrish, who's been on the show several times now, we're planning on making a road trip out to Astropeak. So so full disclosure, we had originally planned after first light, actually. We talked about it during first light. We were going to take a road trip together to Texas, and we won't say where we were going to go in Texas, but we were going to go somewhere in Texas and drop off a couple telescopes. But we obviously found out about what you were doing, and Parrish already has one of his telescopes in Texas, but he wants to bring his big boy scope out, like, and I think it's like 150 millimeter refractor that he has on like a astrophysics mount. He's got a ridiculous setup. I don't know. Has he told you about his rig at all?
Yeah, he's got a big boy.
Yeah. So yeah, he's going to be bringing that one, and I'm going to be bringing my little AM3 and my wide field refractor. But honestly, like, I think I'll be very, very happy having a small focal length wide field refractor out there, because I'm already all about the wide field stuff, and this is going to be just incredible under the type of seeing conditions we'll have. The hard thing that I'm going to have to decide, and it didn't even hit me until you said what you said a few minutes ago, is that I might have to really think about whether I send the 2600 or the 585 with my scope, won't I?
Oh, that is so difficult. The 585 is my all-time favorite sensor. It is so fun, especially actually I think we have one of the same setups. I have the SQA 55 and the 585, and it is
Yep.
just I have the little mini cam 8 on it, and it ends up giving
Uh-huh.
you about a 500 millimeter focal view with a 2600 sensor. And
Uh-huh.
so it dude, it is just perfect. So that's what
Ah,
I would do. I would send your 2600 out, and then one day save up for a little mini cam. They're like $800 right now, and you get a full
they're not
LRGB
much, man.
SHO filter set,
Yeah.
and you can change a Red Cat 51 or an SQA 55. You can basically change it to a 500 millimeter scope, mono setup for $800. It's incredible.
Oh,
So that's a hard one. I don't know which
yeah,
one you should send.
man.
They're both the wide field's so
Yeah.
fun
Oh,
in
that's so
Portal
tricky. I'm
One
gonna have to
skies.
think about it. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, I mean, I guess technically there's no reason I couldn't come out once a year and swap out cameras if I really wanted to. It would just be like, what time of year do I want to go extra wide and when do I want to go more narrow, right?
Yeah,
Oh
for sure.
man.
We'll have to as part of that mission control hub. We'll have a place for
Mhm.
so there's actually quite a few individuals who are sending out two cameras, and then when they want it switched out, they just have to go
Oh,
to the
hang on
mission
a sec.
control
You
hub and
broke up for
schedule a
just a
support
moment.
ticket, and we'll switch out their cameras for them. So
You with me still?
that'll always be an option too. We have a couple individuals who are sending Rosas too, and so those
Nathan,
and you
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 with
can't
me?
use a filter wheel with the Rasa, and so you'll be able to go on, quickly schedule those support tickets, and then switch things around. But I would probably start with the 2600. I would start with the wide field stuff.
Think I
There's so
might
much
have
you can
lost you
do
for a sec.
under dark skies wide field. Yep.
All right,
Can you hear
sorry.
me good?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. What were you saying? You were saying about the mission control software?
Yeah, I was just basically saying that, there's quite a few users who will send out both their cameras, and then you can go onto the mission control hub, and there will be a place where you can actually request a support ticket,
Oh,
and then go in there and just have your camera switched out. Or I've got a couple buddies who are sending big Rasas, and so with a big Rasa, you can't use a filter wheel, right? Because the camera mounts to the
yeah.
front of it, and so they have to just send their filter sets, and then we just go in and swap them out for them as they see fit. But I would definitely probably send the wide field stuff first. There's probably 2 years worth of things you could capture with a 2600 and a SQA 55.
Dude, a Rasa out. What size Rasas are we talking?
Big ones.
Uh,
I think I've got an 11-inch for sure.
oh,
And then there's a couple some big Casa grains that are coming.
oh
I know I've got
man.
a 16-inch one that's coming.
Oh,
So
oh
there's
man.
some big boys.
So my secret dream scope is a giant Rasa, and like I know you can buy an Edge HD and get a fast star adapter, and yeah, but I just love Rasas, man. I don't know what it is about. It's just something about that, it's like F 1.8 out of the box with some of them, right?
Yeah, it's a
Like,
drug, man. It's a
yeah, it's
straight
just
drug.
like just sucking in photons. And though you do got to manually swap filters, you can do a filter drawer on them, can't you?
Correct. Yeah, you can do a filter drawer. It's a little bit harder on the 8-inch. It can definitely still be done.
Yeah.
But the 8-inch only has, I want to say, it has like 29 inch or 29 millimeters of back spacing.
Wow,
So it's
that's
it's a
super
it's a pretty
shallow.
tight setup.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's something to keep in mind if you're ever
but
thinking about getting a RASA. Make sure that your whole imaging train will fit within those very small requirements. I don't think I gotta worry about
yeah,
that quite yet, but maybe in a couple of years. I think right now I'm pretty saturated with gear, and honestly, that's one of the reasons why I might end up sending out two cameras, because earlier today I was looking and I got one sitting on a shelf for about a month. Like the reality is when you're someone like me who works full time and lives in the city, like I image as much as I can and I get out under every clear sky night that I have available. But like, do I realistically on a Tuesday night set up three scopes in my backyard? Like, no, I don't. Like, I'll have a pier and I will put if I know it's going to be clear for the next week, obviously I'll put my refractor on and cover it up and do it every night. But, if you're set up in a permanent remote observatory under those kind of skies, you can really add up data quickly. And I think that's like the huge advantage of doing this is like, because I talked to Justin and like, that's definitely his secret sauce, as you will, if you will, is that he is able to collect a lot of data because there's just so many nights that he is able to image one after another. And if you automate it correctly, like you really don't gotta mess with it too much, like especially with Nina, the way that it works. I'm still learning, and I'm glad that I've got a few months to learn it all, because I got to drive out there in May or whatever. But if you automate things correctly, it's kind of set it and forget it, and then you just pick up your fits files after 100 hours of imaging or whatever you set it to, and you're good, right?
yeah, no, exactly. You're gonna get data overload where you'll be like, what do I do with all
Yeah.
this? You'll get really picky. You're gonna get really picky. You'll start to get picky with subframe selector. You'll start to, you know, when you can only image once a month, you'll take whatever you can get. But when you're imaging every night, you can produce some really beautiful images because you can get really picky with your data.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I'm so excited to produce some really, really pretty images. I can't wait to do my first 100-hour piece, because like something I've realized after doing a couple 40+ hour projects at home, like realistically, I don't think, I mean, don't get me wrong, I could, but there's just such a long amount of time has to pass between beginning and end to put together a 100-hour project that a whole lot of work has to go into it. It's not just as easy as image every night for a month, and then you're good to go. Here it would probably be a 3-month project if you're lucky to get 100 hours. But I was talking to Justin, and he got like 400 plus hours or something in the last year. Like it's just an obnoxious amount of data. So like, what are you excited to image once everything is up and running? Do you have like a list of targets that you hope to work on?
Yeah, I mean, oh, there's so much. There's it's hard to think. I really like to take advantage of RGB stuff. Um,
For
dark
sure.
dark nebula things that you don't need a narrowband filter for.
Yes.
I really like taking advantage of that. It's really fun when you can collect really good RGB data. You can do RGB plus HA, and make some beautiful images.
Ah,
I don't know. What do you think? What are
well,
things are you looking forward to imaging?
for me, it's definitely Dark Nebula because whenever you started saying that earlier, it instantly took me back to Wisconsin in August of 25, and me and the boys were up there for the weekend, and I only had 3 nights there, and I said I'm going to do one target, and these skies are dark enough where I can finally try a Dark Nebula, and I ended up doing the Dark Shark. And I think I ended up like in total with like 14 hours worth of data on it. And it's a really good image. Like I was very, very happy with how it came out, all things considered. And I think I did a pretty good job processing it too. Um, but when I look at that image, the first thing, I didn't center it perfectly because from where I was, it wasn't really possible with a 3-minute sub to truly make it out. So like I thought I was centered, but I wasn't. I would imagine from a Bortle One sky, it's not going to take too long to figure out if you're centered properly and frame things up just the way you want. But yeah, man, like when you get into Dark Nebula, like if you follow any of the people on Instagram, for example, that hunt Dark Nebula, like there are so many awesome Dark Nebula out there to capture. There really are. It's like a whole new world.
Yeah, there is, and there's a lot of areas too. Like I've been working on a project recently with Barnard's, like the Barnard's Loop area, where you
Ah,
have like M78 on the right hand side, and then you have Boogeyman on the left hand side. And
yes.
when you're in really light polluted skies, you can pull a lot of the hydrogen data out with your narrowband filter, but a lot of the dark nebula around the Boogeyman Nebula is really hard to get. And so that's one of those things I love. Oh man, I just love a dark nebula shot that's got pieces of hydrogen flowing through it. It's just so
Yeah, it's
pretty.
gorgeous. It really is, man. It adds an extra depth that I don't think we get a lot of in Dark Nebula images. I know exactly what you're talking about. And man, Barnard's Loop. Oh, what, let me ask this. What are the winter conditions like out where you are? So like if I wanted to shoot Orion in December, like do you get a lot of clear nights in the winter as well?
Yeah, I definitely out west. Your hot months are going to be your spring, summer, and fall. Those are
Okay.
going to be your prime clear days. But like even this year, it's funny you were talking about snow at the beginning of the episode. I actually saw a thing on the news last night that said that Florida has received more snow than Salt Lake City has this year, which is
Wow.
wild. But
That is
we've
wild.
had we've had an ab yeah we've had an abnormally dry winter. But I think I tell you, I've been tracking it on Astropeak. For January, you could have imaged. Let me see here. I've got the notes here. 82% of the nights
Oh
were
my
imageable
goodness.
in January.
Forget about
So
it, man.
still really good. It's not going to be what you'll see in the summer, but it's still going to be really really good.
Oh man, that sounds incredible. I mean, dude, like for me, I'm lucky if I get. I mean, being real, like 5 good nights a month is probably like the best I could hope for. Like, and especially like the way that the last couple of summers have been on the East Coast, they have been so bad. Like, we might as well have not had a Milky Way season. You get what I'm saying? Like, there were so few nights where I was able to go down to the Charlotte Observatory down in South Carolina and just see the Milky Way. So like that sounds absolutely incredible considering what most of us deal with on the East Coast. I will absolutely take it. So um let me see. So like let me ask you this. If everything goes how you want it to, like what's the long-term vision for the observatory? Are you wanting to make this like if everything goes perfectly, could you see this being like a full-time career for you?
Yeah, definitely. Um, the goal of Astropeak is to reduce the cost of remote imaging, right? That's what we're all about. Um, I have huge respect for Bray
Yep.
and Starfront.
Yes.
Bray is absolute. Um, he revolutionized
He
remote
did.
imaging, and I have absolutely insane respects for what he was able to do. And Astropeak just wants to build on that, right?
Absolutely.
We want to take it a step further by providing um, more services and a better experience for our imagers. And so we just hope that over time the Astropeak can continue to knock down the high barriers of entry into remote imaging
Yep.
and make it something where I mean our small pier at $149 a month. I mean my shop in Salt Lake, we share buildings with a CrossFit,
Okay.
and their membership is $130 a month, right? So being able to, I wouldn't know because I'm never there,
Yeah, yeah.
but I see them. I
Yep.
see them working out.
Oh man,
No,
I
I'm just
love
kidding.
that. So
But
yeah, I mean, that's very affordable, especially in today's economy, man, because like nothing is cheap right now. So props to you for finding a way, hopefully at scale, and I understand like take your time with it because it's obviously, important to get things right. But like, man, oh man, that is an affordable price point to be able to hit, especially like man, it's upsetting to me how bad the skies are getting in Charlotte, and it's only going to get worse. This problem is not getting better with light pollution. So, places like Utah are so important. And to be able to open that up to anybody, who can afford a modest amount each month. And honestly, like if you're deep into astrophotography, like being you are, you've probably spent more than $150 a month on astro gear at some point in the last couple of years. I know I certainly have been guilty of that. So it is going to open up like a whole new world to so many people. So thank you for doing it, Nathan.
yeah, no, and I don't want to make $150 a month sound like it's nothing, because
I
it
know.
definitely does cost something. But the goal is this: like when I was a traveling imager, right? To take my expedition and fill it up with gas and drive 3 hours to my dark site and spend the night and drive 3 hours back. When that was already $100 in gas to get there and
Yeah.
back. You know,
You're not
and
wrong,
so
man.
if no, and if there's a way that we can make this better, I don't want to steal all of Mike's thunder too. You probably will hear from Mike a lot over the next coming months, but the mission control software that he's building too is just phenomenal, and the way that it gives users access to control their peer and just have an all around really easy experience. We want to simplify it as much as we can, lower the barriers of entry as much as we can,
Yep.
and get as many people to be able to participate in remote imaging as possible. Because if you're a serious astrophotographer, remote imaging really does make the difference in getting great images.
Yeah, you can say that again, man. And you're right, especially like now, if you want to do like a donuts to donuts situation, like when I make my dark sky trip once a year, to it technically border one skies, even though they're at, sea level, so the seeing isn't great. But I probably spend upwards of $600 just on that trip, because if you figure like gas, hotels, food, eating out a couple of nights while I'm there, it's not cheap to go on dark sky trips if that's, your main source of great images throughout the year, which I would imagine for most of us it probably is. Um, and obviously if you want, you can image like I do in the side yard, most nights. But like the stuff that I'm truly proud of, it always comes from the dark sky locations, because that's where I'm able to get my best data from. And that really does make a big difference. It's true that there is no substitute for dark skies.
Yeah, there isn't. We make a joke, the Optilong L Pro can only do so much.
Man, I was so in love with the L Pro. And don't get me wrong, I still love the L Pro, and it got me so far. But then like I started getting my hands on some of the fancier filters. And oh my goodness, like there's a whole other world out there. So it's not just the L Pro. So if you haven't had a chance yet, definitely check out some of the other filters on the market, because they definitely will not disappoint. What are you? What kind
Yeah.
of filters do you like?
None.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't have to. You don't even really got to worry. You can just shoot full broadband, can't you? Oh man.
Oh yeah.
But do you do mono
No,
imaging too? I haven't had. You were mentioning HA plus RGB earlier. Do you do any mono imaging, or do you put a HA filter on your one shot color? How do you do that?
Yeah, I do both. I do both mono and color imaging. So
Okay, so it just kind of depends on what the target
yeah.
is.
Yeah, exactly. If there's
Nice.
a target
I
that's just straight LRGB, then yeah, just throw the color camera on there and scoop up 50 hours, you know.
definitely. You know, I was kind of shocked at how good my stock R5 was at picking up hydrogen. Like everybody said, like, oh, don't even bother, blah blah blah. But then, you know, I went out to a reasonably dark sky with it one night with a wide field lens and just said, "Yeah, let's see what it can do." And I threw it on the move shoot move and got about, I want to say, like 130-second subs. And I'll be damned if I couldn't see the entirety of Barnard's Loop, and the rosette was clearly visible. And I even got the Witch Head Nebula in that shot. And you know, it's amazing what just a regular RGB camera can do under dark skies. You know,
Oh, it's incredible. Dark skies are just, yeah, there's
they're
just
the
no
best.
substitute for them.
If you haven't,
It's cool, man. It's
good.
oh, go ahead.
No, you good.
No, I was just saying it's just, I don't know, man. Well, you know, one of the things too that we really are pushing hard with Astropeak is trying to preserve our dark skies. You know, partnering with organizations like Dark Sky International. I'm
Yes.
constantly, wherever I live, I love going into city council meetings and making sure that we have dark sky ordinances, because it's just, I don't know, it's being under dark skies and just laying there. It's I'm a fairly religious individual, and I think one of the hard things that we're experiencing right now, living in the 21st century, is just the lack of purpose, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And it can become really really easy to just to get that way, where it's hard to find purpose and meaning in life. And
Yes.
sitting under the stars in a Bortle 1 area and looking up and seeing, I mean, you can see the other day when I was out there and I was laying in my zero gravity chair, which, by the way, thank you for the recommendation.
Oh
That
man, I
was a
love
great
zero gravity
recommendation.
chairs. Are the best. They really are the best. That's a, oh man, talk about a deep cut. I talked about zero gravity chairs before the very first dark sky trip that I talked about on the Astrocast. So I'm glad to hear you're a fan as well. But go on.
Yeah, you got me hooked on that. But no, you're laying there and you look up and you see the Andromeda galaxy, right? And it's just towering above your head. It it I would hope for everybody. I assume it does, because if you like astrophotography, there's something that gets you out there, right? There's something
Yeah.
that takes you back to it. I would hope that people, and I don't mean to sound cheesy or anything, but I hope people find purpose in life, and I hope they
Yes.
find value, and I hope that Mark recently wrote a poem that he shared. He shared this poem in the Discord group when he was in the, I think he was in the Atacama when he wrote it, and I can relate to that. If you want a spiritual experience, whether you're religious or not, grab a pen and a paper and go lay under some dark skies and write.
Man, you can say that
Because
again.
it just is. It just is. There's so much to be grateful for. There's so much good in the world, and we just complicate things as a people. We're so high strung, and we're so rude to each other for no reason. You
Yep.
know, I need to get off my soapbox here, but
You're
there's
not
more to
wrong though, man.
astrophotography than just looking at the stars.
Yes, you are absolutely right about that. Matter of fact, tell you what, I was pulling it up. I want to read Mark's poem real quick, if you're okay with that. Do you mind if I read it?
Oh heck yeah! No, I'm so glad you did.
This is the
I was thinking when I was driving home today, I was like, I need to have that poem. So I'm so glad you have it. Read it. It's phenomenal.
all right. So this is credit to Mark Linley, a very good friend of mine and longtime supporter of the show. So he wrote this under the Atacama Desert, obviously probably the most famous and best dark skies that we still have remaining in the world. So 10 million dots of light in the sky, 10 million fires of life in your eye, 10 million balls of burning gas, infinite tons of atom mass, some lights that came and went already, from stars that burn too bright and steady. Have you seen these gleaming specks before? These sparkling gems I so adore, stars that couldn't help but be aglow for us to see. Have you fled away from the city lights to seek these gorgeous celestial sights? Do you ever take the time to see what lies beyond astronomy? Not cameras, lenses, mounts, or scopes, but twinkling beacons that give me hope. The hope that there's still more to see, more to know, more celestial glee, tricky targets to track and learn, deep space objects that make me yearn for darker skies where we can see 10 million stars, plus maybe 3, will lay beneath their gentle glow, then build a better world below, a world of love with fewer tears, a world of joy that comforts fears, a world that takes the time to see 10 million stars with you and me. Well said, Mark. I really couldn't have said it better myself. And Nathan, it's funny that you mentioned that, man. The first time, and I believe I said this on the show, but like the first time that I ever saw the Milky Way with my own 2 eyes, like truly saw it more than just like a smudge in the night sky, but like saw it under Bortle 1 skies. It was a religious experience to me, man. It was really spiritual, seeing that and feeling the width of the universe. And like, I am a firm believer that we've barely scratched the surface of what we think we know as humans. We don't have to get too deep into that regard yet. But it does move you in a much deeper way. And if we want to be able to continue to share that with our kids and our kids' kids and future generations to come, it's so important that we protect the dark skies that we have left. So thanks for playing a part in that, man. Even if it's a small part, it's huge because, if everybody did something to try to make a difference, whether it was install a, motion activated light or talk to your neighbors about their unshielded lights on the front porch, or, maybe if you're like me, the guy who lives in the next town over literally just shines 4 spotlights up into the night sky every night. He's such an idiot. I don't know why he does it. Please stop doing that, guy. But it's important.
I'm going to send him a mailer to your podcast.
Oh man, that guy's the worst. But thanks for doing it, Nathan. It means a lot, man.
No, it's you're a birder, right, Rue?
Yes. Oh yeah, big time.
And what has light pollution, what impact has it had on birds?
Don't even, I mean, it's absolutely terrible what happens to birds because of light pollution. It would bring you to tears if you knew the kinds of bad things birds, like entire flocks of birds, can get stuck flying in circles above cities that are so bright because they no longer can follow the stars and the Milky Way to get where they're trying to go. And they've literally fallen out of the sky from exhaustion and then died when they made impact with the ground because of light pollution. Like there is no need for that to happen. It's the only form of pollution that is instantly and entirely reversible if we just choose to do it. And the only reason we don't is because we hold on to this caveman fear that, like, I get it. Like, it's genetically inside of us to fear the dark and fear what you can't see. But like, to me, if you're leaving your porch lights on all night, all you're doing is making it easier for anybody who would want to do something bad to see their way. So like, install motion activated lights. At least that way you might spook them off because they think, and I'm saying this, I know everybody who's listening to the show probably doesn't have an issue with that, but I just wish we could have that conversation with more people, so have that conversation if you haven't, because it can make a difference. And birds, man, it's just the beginning. I mean, it goes all the way down to the lowly dung beetle. Dung beetles follow the core of the Milky Way to find their way home. I mean, you can collapse an
Yeah.
entire ecosystem. It's crazy how important it is.
Yeah. And I'm gonna argue the point. You know, you talked about the birds flying in circles and not knowing where to go, and then eventually just falling down and dropping from exhaustion. I'm gonna argue that that exact same thing is happening to humanity right now, and we're strung out. We have record levels of anxiety, record levels of depression.
Yep.
And I know that there's a myriad of causes that I'm not pointing or not trying to say that this is the one end all be all,
Yeah.
but I can promise you that if you want to feel a little bit better tomorrow, go lay under the stars and look
Yes.
up at the night sky. And it won't solve all your problems, but I can guarantee you that you'll have a little bit more sense of your purpose, a little bit more sense of your worth, which is great, and you'll be a little bit more at peace. And so I hope that. I hope that Astropeak can continue to grow and have more of an influence in that sphere so that we can keep the skies dark, because it's not just the birds that it's hurting.
Man, you can very, very, very well said, Nate. It is exhausting being alive in 2026 for so many of us. I said it today. I said it today to my wife. I just said, all I want to do is do an honest day's work and make a living. Is that so much to ask? But like for so many of us, like that's just not possible anymore because the world is just like it's just sucking it out of us. And I end up in spots where I crave dark skies because it once you have that and you've been there and seen it and know like what it does to your blood pressure and like it for me anyway, like, I can't speak for other people, but like for me, if I can get out to a dark sky site for a few nights once a year, hopefully more than once a year, but like realistically, even if it's just once a year, like it's just, oh man, it helps me reset, it helps me refocus and just like really kind of not worry so much about the little things and be able to focus on the bigger stuff, you know?
Yeah, you crave it because your soul craves connection to the universe that gave it life. And you can witness that under dark skies. You can witness it in a lot of areas too, but dark skies is one of those areas where you can really, lay on that zero gravity chair and look up at Andromeda staring back at you,
Ugh,
and crave that
so
connection
well
to the
said.
universe that you come from.
Absolutely.
So
Well said, my friend. Have you ever seen the North American Nebula from a dark sky site?
yeah, yeah, I have. I'm starting to get I've only been big into astrophotography, and so I've tried to make the transition the last year or so into more visual stuff.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh,
so it's hard though. You get out to a dark sky and you want to get all your equipment set
oh
up as
yeah,
quick
for
as you
sure.
can. And so it's hard.
Absolutely.
It's hard to just take a breath and
Dude,
lay in the chair and look up.
oh, it's so nice though. Like like that whole Cygnus region, and I'm not saying like that you can see like the straight up outline of it. I don't know. Maybe my eyes are playing tricks on me, but just that whole region when it gets to the zenith and it's like right down the meridian, it just pops under border and it's just like, man, that's special. And then you look and where is it all sitting? It's sitting in Cygnus. And what is Cygnus? Cygnus is the swan, which is the bird, which is circling the build. Like it all just, man, it all comes back. So get out under dark skies if you haven't recently. I know galaxy season is coming up, but you've got time to plan. Warm days are going to be here before you know it. Within the next 90 days, it'll be warm again. And, as early as April, which is less than 2 months away now, you can start waking up early if you want and seeing Rho. And, I saw Scorpius the other day. I was up at like 5:30 in the morning and it was just coming up over the horizon. I'm like, I'll be damned. Summer is, I mean, it's a ways off, but it's coming, it's definitely coming. So definitely make plans to see it.
Isn't it so depressing? Isn't it so depressing in the summer when you stay up really late and you start to see Orion come up and you're
Oh,
like, no, it's about to get so cold.
you know that it's finally coming to an end. It's true. Oh
Yeah.
man. Well, Nate, man, this has been such a cool talk, man. I really, really, really appreciate you coming on the show. I really appreciate what you're doing. Let me just say one more time. There's a few spots left in the founders group for Astropeak. So if you would like to set up a scope at Astropeak Observatories, you're welcome to go to their website. It's astropeak.space. But you can get a discount if you want to sign up through the Patreon. Go to patreon.com/the Astrocast. Me and Nathan are partnering together just to help spread the word and hopefully get more people under dark skies. That's really, I'm not going to make a killing off of it. I know Nathan's not going to make a killing off of it, but if we can get more people under dark skies and, bring more awareness to light pollution, then I think we've pretty much won the battle, Nate.
Yeah, no, and Rue, you've been such an asset to this hobby. The Astrocast has grown immensely over the last couple of years, and you're doing some phenomenal things in this space and helping spread awareness to light pollution. And more importantly, you've built probably one of the greatest communities I've ever been a part of. Such good friends, it's just it's just awesome, man. You've done such a good job, and I would tell anybody who's listening to this that if you want, forget joining. I know you always tell people to join your local club. No, forget it. Don't join your local club. Join the Astrocast. It is the best astronomy club out there. And then if you want to go hang out with your local friends, that's fine. But you have to be in the Astrocast. It is the greatest astronomy club out there by a long shot.
It really is, man. We have so many cool people in there. I could go on all day long about everyone, and we're always talking about something. So thank you for that, Nathan. I really appreciate it. And I'm just glad that I was able to be a conduit to bring so many great people together. So I'm certainly happy to have done it. So thank you so much for coming on the show this week with us, Nathan. I'm sure we'll be talking more in the coming months, and no doubt I'll have you back on soon, and we'll talk about this. And hopefully, I don't know if we'll talk before then or not, but I'm quite certain that we will be talking in person before too much longer, and I very much look forward to that, my friend.
Thank you, Rua. Thank you for your support, and thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Astrocast. I'm your host, Rue. You've been listening to me talk with Nathan from Astropeak Observatories. Please feel free to check them out at astropeak.space or go to patreon.com/the Astrocast and find me there. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. I'm your host, Rue. And as always, clear skies.
Wednesday evening, the feed goes live. Rue's voice cuts through the dark like a 135. From backyard scopes to mountain peaks, we're all tuned in, no time to sleep. Red dot finders, coma correctors gain. He breaks it down like it's simple, never pain. Comets rising, planets in the frame.